Hello, Happy New Year. Today we're going to do a class working on shoulders just to help us let go of everything we might have been carrying in 2020 and to open ourselves up for 2021. So if you'd like to do that, maybe grab a couple blocks in the strap and make your way to near the front of your mat. Feet a comfortable distance width apart, lined up with each other. And just shift the weight forward and back on your feet a little bit. You can lift all the way up to your tippy toes and rock back to your heels. Eventually coming to a place where the weight feels pretty balanced between the front and the back of the feet. Take a moment, line your feet up with each other, knees facing forward, second toes generally face forward. Wiggle those toes a little bit. And then with your next inhale, lift your toes up. Feel the arches of the feet waking up with the toes. Exhale and release, feel the relaxing. And then inhale, lift the toes and the arches of your feet up again. Connecting down through any part of your foot that's not an arch. Feel the leg muscles hugging gently to the bone, but the knee joint soft. Feel the muscles around the hips hugging in and engaging, including the muscles of the pelvic floor lifting in and up. Feel the core engaging, low ribs draw in and up. Hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders gently moving towards each other on the back, lining the head and neck above the rest of the spine. Breathe. Keep this engagement through the body. Spread your toes apart if they'll move, and then placing the toes back down on the ground, rooting the toes into the earth, but still feeling that lightness, that lift through the arches of the feet. Soften or close your eyes and turn inside. Coming into a deeper connection, a deeper awareness to the flow of the breath. So feel the air on the nostrils. And feel the breath moving through you. Feeling the lungs opening up and expanding on the inhales and softening back in on the exhales. Just connecting to the sensation of breathing as the rib cage and the skin dance with the lungs and move with the breath. Settling into the flow of the breath. Throughout class, I invite you to stay connected to the breath. So if at any point you notice your thoughts are wandering, just come back to this flow, come back to the sensations, come back to breathing. I also invite you to stay deeply connected and informed by yourself. So feel free to modify, adjust, and adapt the practice. Even when what I say sounds like a command, that's just shorthand, it's an invitation. Feel free to modify, adjust, and adapt. All I ask you to do is to try to stay connected to the current of the breath and to dance, to move with that connection a little bit. So breathe. We'll start with an Om. Exhaling. Inhale fully. Take a deep full breath in. And then exhale, releasing your hands softly, open your eyes. Feel that breath moving through you. And then moving with the breath. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms back to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high, just only as much as feels good for your shoulders though. Exhale, lower the arms to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the sides. Knees as wide apart as your feet. Inhale, act like you're sitting in a chair, bending the knees. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands to your knees. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long out of the hips here. And then exhale, lower your hands to your outer shins, right below the knees, the outer legs. With your hands, press your shins in so the knees might go in towards each other a little bit. Maybe lift up your toes to power the legs more. And then press the upper inner thighs right below your hips out. So that will keep your knees from falling in. Stretch the spine nice and long here. Feel the shins moving in, the thighs pressing out, the spine extending, and inhale, press down through your feet and straighten the legs only as much as works for you. Shins hugging in, thighs pressing out. Exhale, bend the knees, knees as wide apart as your feet. Inhale and straightening the legs, shins in, thighs out. Exhale and bend the knees. Inhale, straightening the legs. Keep the sensation of the shins hugging in, the upper inner thighs pressing apart, lengthening through the spine, and then go ahead and release your hands to blocks or the floor. Then you can spread the toes apart, keeping engagement through the feet and the legs, and then lowering the toes down to the earth. Feel the breath moving through you here, full and deep. And then with your next exhale, nice strong legs, you can fold forward, hands to the floor if you'd like. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Holding this extended spine, let your knees bend a little bit, but the shins are still hugging in, the thighs are still pressing apart. Shift the weight back in your feet some. And then with a nice long spine, holding onto the blocks, come up to standing. We're going to take one block between the upper inner thighs here. And then again, engaging through the legs. So if lifting your toes up helps to engage your leg muscles, you can do that. Keep your knees a little soft, and with a block between the legs, go ahead and inhale and press the block back for the wall behind you. Exhale, roll the block forward using your inner thigh muscles. Inhale, the block moves back. Exhale, the block moves forward. Inhale, the block moves back. Now be careful not to lock your knees here for the shins hugging in and straighten the legs. If you were to press the thighs out here, you might drop the block, which is a fun play thing to do another time, but not today. Okay, go ahead and soften. You can turn back to the skinny end of the mat if you turn to face towards me. And then you can take a moment, knees being a little soft, legs engaged, push the block back. And then here, you can spread the toes and lower the toes back down to the ground, but keeping the legs engaged, knee joints just a little soft. Keep the block moving back, inner thighs moving back. Come to your low ribs. Draw the low ribs in and up, bringing some fullness into the low back and lengthening the tailbone down. Not tucking it under so the block doesn't move forward. So the block stays back, low ribs engaged, tailbone just lengthens down into a little bit of space. Bring the other block forward down in front of you. Not so much gripping unless you need to, but just pressing your hands together and holding the block into space here. Line yourself up above the rest of the spine. And then with your next exhale, pull the shoulder blades on the back, moving your arm bones deeper into the shoulder socket. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back, arm bones out of the shoulder socket. Exhale, arm bones into the shoulder socket, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back. Feel the bottom tips of the shoulder blades moving in toward each other. Keeping the core engaged, keeping the block moving back in between the inner thighs. Keep rooting through your feet and keeping all of this without squeezing for dear life. Inhale, start to lift the block in your hands up overhead, stopping when your shoulders tell you to stop. And then exhale and lower back down to about chest height. Inhale, lift the block up, arm bones staying in shoulder socket. Exhale and lower the block down. Inhale, lift the block up, holding here. Again, being really powerful through the legs and the core, but not clenching too tightly. And then from here, slowly start to let the knees bend. And as you let the knees bend and move the hips back into Utkatasana, still spinning that block down towards the ground, you might have to adjust where your feet are. That's fine. And just breathing here. You also might need to shift the weight back into your heels a little bit. Nice full deep breaths. So keep that breath going. And then with a nice long spine, exhale, lower the hands, the block to the ground. Take the block out from underneath between the inner thighs, lower that block down. And then shins hug in, thighs press out, inhale and straighten the legs. And exhale and fold in. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen, let your knees bend, shift your weight into your right foot, and big step back with your left foot. You can walk the blocks underneath the shoulders at the highest height, or if it's better for you, you can bring both hands inside the right leg. Right knee right on top of the ankle, tracking towards second toe. You can wiggle that left foot back. Press down through both feet, hug into your hips, and then inhale, expand the spine out of the hips. Even in this position, feel the lower legs, the shins hugging in, but feel the upper inner thighs pressing apart. Feel the breath moving through you here. And then maybe flipping the blocks to their lowest height and stepping the right foot back, downward facing dog. When you're using blocks for downward facing dog, a lot of times it's nice to bring the heel of the hand to the back of the block and to press the hips up, back, away from you from here. Go ahead, bending the right knee, stretching out to the left leg, and then bending the left knee, stretching out to the right leg. Bending and straightening the legs, letting the hips move a little side to side. And then coming back to center with the hips here. And with your next exhale, lowering down to all fours, coming to your hands and knees, putting the blocks over to the side for just a moment here. You can come to palms flat, fingers spreading nice and wide apart, or fists if that feels better for you. Coming through some cat-cow, so when you're ready, inhale, stretch the spine nice and long here. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, and arch the back, head and tailbone up to the side. Just moving back and forth to the flow of the breath, letting the breath move through you. If you would like to add circles on the wall back behind you with your tailbone, still rounding and arching the back, you can do that. Just remember, if you do that, draw the circles in the other direction too. You might need your elbows to be a little bit soft to get that movement going. Breathe. And then as you're ready, coming back to center and making your way into a child's pose. Feet together, knees apart, hips back towards your heels, head towards the ground. Letting the back gently round, breathing into the fullness of your back body. Ease your way forward onto your belly. Make a pillow with your hands, gently rock the hips from side to side here. Come back to center with the hips, press the hips down, grab the blocks, lowest height, put them underneath your shoulders. And then here, just opening the arms to the sides, palms down, fingers spreading nice and wide apart. And you can rest, if it works for you, the forehead on the ground. If the ground is too far away, get a towel or something, roll it up and put it underneath your forehead. Once you rest the forehead down, you're gonna stay there for a little bit. And with every exhale, you're gonna relax the upper back right between the shoulders. With your next inhale, lift your head up. You can move the blocks to the side, bring the arms to either side. Palms can still be facing down, or you can turn them to face up. Pressing down through the hips. Inhale, float up through the shoulders, maybe the chest too. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale as the shoulders lift, feel them moving gently towards each other on the back. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale and lifting up here, holding, press down through the hips. Knees facing down. If you want to, the feet might float up as well. Stretch long through the legs. If you want to float the hands up, you can do that too. Feel the chest lengthening forward, feel the feet lengthening back, feel the breath flowing. And then exhale, lower all the way back down, rest your head on the hands, gently rock the hips from side to side. Unraveling the hips into center, and as you're ready, making your way back into a child's pose. Breathe, nice full deep breaths. With your next inhale, come up to all fours. You can grab the blocks, and then with your next exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing here. If all fours works better for you than downward facing dog, feel free to substitute that. When you're ready, inhale the right leg and lift up high, hips staying nice and level. Exhale, right knee to the nose. If you're doing downward facing dog, maybe moving to a plank, shoulders forward over the wrist. Inhale, right leg lifts up high. And then exhale, step the right foot towards your right thumb. So if it doesn't quite make it, you can grab that foot and pull it the rest of the way forward. You can lower the back knee down and then pull the leg forward and then lift that back knee up if you would like. If you want to, you can switch the blocks to the higher height. You can bring both hands inside the leg. Again, feel free to adjust as you need to. Pressing strongly through that right foot, lengthening the spine. And when you're ready, use that pressing through the right foot to pull the left foot forward. Inhale, you can lengthen, shins hug in, thighs press out, exhale and fold. And then hands to your hips, shoulders on the back. Inhale, nice long spine all the way up to standing. Release the arms to the sides and just do some shoulder rolls here. So just rolling the shoulders up and onto the back. If your shoulders are feeling really good today, go ahead and roll the shoulders forward too. If they're just a little bit sketchy, you might want to leave out the rolling the shoulders forward. So just something to keep in mind. And then go ahead and grab the blocks. One block. Block between the hands. And exhale, shoulder blades on the back, standing up nice and tall. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back again, trying maybe not to grab the block. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back, just pressing the palms in towards each other. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back, core engaged, lifting that block up only as much as works for your shoulders. And then this time, exhale, try leaning a little bit to the left side. As you do that, press strongly through the right foot, and then try to roll the right shoulder blade a bit more on the back and turn your chest up towards the sky. Breathe in. And then inhale up to center. And exhale, leaning over to the press down to the left foot, and rolling that left shoulder blade on the back, turning your chest a little to the sky here. Breathe. And then inhale up to center. Exhale, lowering the hands down. Inhale, just lengthen through the spine here, standing up nice and tall, filling yourself up from inside out. Exhale, go ahead and bend your knees a little bit and pull forward with a nice long spine. Inhale and expanding, shins hug in, thighs press out. Exhale and fold. And then as you lengthen, let the knees bend, shift the weight into your left foot, big step back with your right foot. Left knee right on top of the ankle, pointing towards your second toe. Maybe wiggle that right foot back further. Press down through your feet, hug into your hips, expanding the spine out of the hips. Feel the breath moving through you. Feel the shins hugging in, feel the thighs pressing out. Maybe flip the blocks to their lower height, and then slide, wiggle, scoot the left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shoulders forward over the wrist, plank pose. Feel free to lower the knees down here, or you can keep them lifted. Feel the core engaging, feel the low ribs hugging in, maybe so much your tailbone tucks under just a little bit, but not a lot. And then here, exhale, try to feel the arm bones moving into the shoulder socket, softening the upper back, making a valley, shoulder blades on the back. And then inhale, puffing into the upper back, shoulder blades off the back, arm bones out of the shoulder socket. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back in this position. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back, head and neck in line with the rest of the spine. Exhale, the shoulder blades on the back. With your shoulder blades on the back, but your core engaged, still breathing here. Still breathing is important. And then exhale, lower the knees down and come back into a child's pose. If you want a little bit of a shoulder stretch, you can keep your hands on the blocks, pressing your hands into the block, feeling the upper arms lifting. So right where your armpit is, the arm where the arm meets the armpit, that part lifts up as you lengthen. And it should be the inner edge of your armpit as much as the outer edge. Breathe. And then put the blocks over to the side for a moment and slide your way forward onto your belly. Pressing down through the hips, knees facing down, stretch long through the legs. Open your hands wider apart than your mat, turning them out a little bit, maybe lifting up to fingertips, maybe clawing at the floor with the fingertips, so hugging them in towards each other. Then keep your hips pressing down. Inhale, lifting up through the shoulders, with the shoulders hugging in gently. Exhale, lower back down. If you want, you can lift the chest up separately. Inhale, lift up, let the head hang a little bit. And then lastly, just lift the head up only as much as feels good for you. And then exhale and lower back down. One more that way. So inhale, lifting up through the chest, shoulder blades on the back. Lastly, the head lifts up. And then exhale and lower back down. Rest your head on the hands and gently rock the hips from side to side. Come back to center here. Grab the blocks. Bring your blocks maybe not that wide apart, but maybe not as close as you're used to doing for Cobra. So somewhere in between. Hands on the blocks. Press your hands into the blocks and feel your shoulders lifting up here as you root down through your hips. Then stretching your chest forward, stretching back through those feet with your toenails on the ground. Inhale here. See how it feels to lift up with those shoulders strongly on the back. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale and lifting up. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, press down to the hands, lift up to the shoulders, lifting up here. And exhale and lower back down. Go ahead, put the blocks over to the side and make your way back into a child's pose. Breathe. Nice full deep breaths. Inhale up to all fours. You can grab the blocks again here. And then exhale, downward facing dog. When you're ready, inhale, the left leg lifts up. Exhale, left knee to the nose, maybe moving towards plank. Inhale, the left leg lifts, hips stay level. Exhale, the left foot forward towards your left thumb, sliding, wiggle, scooting. If you want to flip blocks to a higher height, you can. Press strongly into that left foot. and pull the right foot forward to meet it. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, knees a little soft, lengthen to the spine, come all the way up with the blocks in your hands. Go ahead and put one block between the upper inner thighs and move those upper inner thighs back a little bit. So moving the block back a little bit. Be careful, knee joint soft. Core engaged, tailbone lengthens. Other block in front of you, palms facing in, and shoulder blades on the back. Standing up nice and tall here. Lifting the arms up only as much as works for your shoulders. Then exhale, leaning over to the left. Roll the right shoulder on the back and turning a little bit up toward the sky. Breathe in here. Press strongly through that right foot. And then inhale, come up to center. And exhale, leaning over to the right. Left shoulder rolls onto the back. Breathing here. And then inhale, come up to center. Exhale, release. We're going to go ahead and come to a feet wide apart. I'm going to turn away from you a little bit for a moment so you can see what's going on in my back. If you like to use blocks for standing poses, go ahead and put the blocks to where would be the back of your mat. And then open your legs wide in front of the blocks. Okay. Bring your hands into a T here. Take a moment, line your feet up with each other, knees facing forward, second toes face forward. And even in this position, feel the shins hugging in, the thighs pressing apart some. Hands in that T position. And then from here, exhale, move the bottom tips of the shoulder blades towards each other on the back, squeezing them in. Inhale and release. Exhale, bottom tips of the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other on the back. Inhale, release. Exhale, bottom tips of the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Inhale, release just halfway, holding here. And then go ahead and release all the way. Go ahead and release your hands. Do some shoulder rolls. And then from here, turn your left toes in towards your right toes just a little bit. Right toes all the way out to the right. Hug in from your feet to your hips, hands to your hips, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, leaning into that right hip. You can bring your right hand to your shin or to the block or the floor back behind you. And then take a moment here. And those bottom tips of the shoulder blades we were just hugging in, move them towards each other on the back some here. And then lifting that left hand up to the sky. With the bottom tips of your shoulder blades gently hugging in and stretching the spine out of the hips. Take a moment, line head and neck up with the rest of the spine. And then if you want to, you can gently turn your gaze up towards the sky. Trikonasana. Nice and strong through the legs, press down through the feet, come all the way up. Turn all 10 toes toward the long end of the mat. Open your arms wide apart and just hug the bottom tips of the shoulder blades in some. And then from here, we're going to change our arm position, like you're hugging a big ball. So act like you're hugging a big ball, but your palms can be staying down. Okay. And then from here, move the right shoulder towards the left on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Right shoulder towards the left on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Right shoulder towards the left on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Then second side. Left shoulder towards the right on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Left shoulder towards the right on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Left shoulder towards the right on the back. Release it halfway. Release it all the way. Release your arms. Do some shoulder rolls. And then from here, right toes turn towards the left toes. Left toes turn all the way out to the left. Hands to your hips. Hug in from your feet to the hips. Leaning into that left hip. If you need to bend the left knee a little bit, that is fine. Hands to shin or floor or block. Stretch the spine long. Again, bottom tips of the shoulder blades moving a little bit towards each other on the back here. And then maybe lift the right hand up towards the sky. Head and neck lines up with the rest of the spine. If you would like, you can turn your gaze up towards the right hand. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breaths. And then from here, press down to your feet. Come all the way up to standing. All 10 toes facing the long end of the mat. Hands into a T, then hands into that hug, big hug position. And then from here, gently move the shoulder blades a little bit in toward each other. Again, not squeezing for dear life, but a little bit in. And from here, inhale, the right shoulder lifts, the left shoulder drops. Exhale, left shoulder lifts, right shoulder drops. So just moving now, up and down a little side to side. You can let your hands go with the shoulders. And you could even do a hugging in. So you can hug the right shoulder in and slide it down, hug the left shoulder in and slide it down. So So starting near the top where you hug in, and then sliding the shoulder blade down the back and releasing out. Come back to center with the arms, do some shoulder rolls. Soften the knees, heel toe, your feet in towards each other. Shake out the legs and facing the narrow end of the mat. Go ahead and move the blocks. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath moving through you. Exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen, bend the knees, shift the weight into the right foot. Big step back with your left foot. Shins hug in, thighs hug out, move out, lengthening through the spine, flip the blocks to a lower height, and then big step back with your right foot. Downward facing dog, press the hips up, back away from you. Inhale forward into a plank. Feel free to lower the knees, engage your core, and let the shoulder blades move on the back, a little valley between the shoulder blades. Then from here, you're gonna start to pull the chest forward through the shoulders, move the shoulders back, and let the hips drop some, but keep your core strong. And as you do that, you might slowly roll over the tops of your feet and making your way into an up dog variation on blocks. And again, knees down is fine. So do what works for you, feel the breath move through you, and then exhale, you can flip this over the feet and come back to a downward facing dog. Nice full deep breaths. Hips nice and level. Inhale, the right leg lifts up high. Exhale, the right foot forward towards the right thumb. Press strongly through that feet. You can change blocks. And then left foot comes forward. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms come wide, reach all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Feel the breath moving through you. Release the hands to the side. I'm just facing this way so you can see what I'm doing. Standing up nice and tall here. And then what you're gonna do from here is think about your shoulders having just independent movement, which they do. And you're gonna press the right shoulder forward and move the left shoulder back. And then move the left shoulder forward and the right shoulder back. You can do a little shoulder lift with this if you'd like and play with that movement. But also play with it without the shoulder lift. So both without the shoulder lift and if you want to, with the shoulder lift. And then coming back to a nice Tadasana here, feel the breath move through you. Exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen, knees bent, weight into the left foot. Big step back with the right foot. Switching the blocks to a lower height. Big step back with the left foot. Inhale, shoulders forward over the wrist. Exhale, we're going to lower the knees down this time and point the toes. And then again, feel the shoulder blades on the back, but your core engaged. Let your elbows bend even a little bit and keep the shoulder blades moving on the back. And then from here, you're gonna pull the chest forward through the shoulders. You're gonna let the hips get heavy. You might even move a little side to side. And you're gonna see if you can slowly lower the hips down to the ground, coming into this version of Cobra with the hands on the blocks, really moving the shoulders back. Come to center, press down to the hips, lengthen, and then exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Rest your head on the hands, gently rock the hips from side to side. Come back to center with the hips here. Prop yourself up on your elbows, elbows underneath the shoulders, knees outer hip distance apart, rooting strongly through the hips. Feel the chest pulling forward through the shoulders some, and press down through the hips so much that when you exhale and bend your knees, the low back doesn't contract on you. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend the knees. Inhale and straighten. Exhale, bend the knees, holding here, pressing down through the forearms, pulling the chest forward through the shoulders, feeling the breath move through you. And then exhale, go ahead, release, rest the head on the hands, gently rock the hips a little side to side. And then coming back into a child's pose. Breathe, nice full deep breaths. With your next inhale, come up to all fours. You can grab the blocks. And exhale, downward facing dog. And then inhale, the left leg lifts up high. Exhale the left foot forward towards the left thumb, lengthening through the spine, maybe flipping the blocks. Press strongly through that foot and step the right foot forward to meet it. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, nice long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. And again, you can stay facing the narrow end of the mat. I'm just going to turn this way so you can see. And then with those shoulders moving again, standing up nice and tall. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Right shoulder lifts up, left shoulder drops down. Left shoulder moves forward, right shoulder moves back. Left shoulder lifts up, right shoulder drops down. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Right shoulder lifts up, left shoulder drops. Right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. Right shoulder drops, left shoulder lifts up. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Right shoulder lifts, left shoulder drops. Right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. Right shoulder back, left shoulder lifts. And any routine of that. So just kind of playing with those shoulder movements. Do some shoulder rolls. And then go ahead and turn and face the long end of the mat, or skinny end of the mat if you changed with me. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath moving through you. Exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen, knees bent. Exhale, left foot back. Blocks lower down. Inhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Exhale, forward into a plank pose, shoulders on the back here. And then if you want to, again, knees down, shoulders stay on the back, bend your elbows a little bit. Start to pull the chest forward through the shoulders, maybe rolling over to your feet and coming into an up dog here. Breathe. And then exhale, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, the right leg lifts up. Exhale, the right foot forward towards your hand. Then maybe flipping the blocks, press strongly through that right foot, left foot forward too. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, holding onto the blocks, come all the way up to standing. And then go ahead and put the blocks back behind you. I'm going to show the back again because again, we're going to do shoulder stuff in a moment. Nice and wide apart. Open your feet wide apart. Line your feet up with each other. Hug in from your feet to your hips. So again, lower legs hug in, upper inner thighs press apart a little bit. Left toes towards the right, right toes out to the right. Right knee points toward your second toe. Exhale and bend that right knee. Right forearm to the right leg, Parsvakonasana, or right hand to the block. And again here, feel the bottom tips of the shoulder blades rolling towards each other on the back. And then you can lift the left hand up to the sky here if you'd like. With your next inhale, keep the shoulder blades hugging in, bottom tips. You can extend the left arm by the ear, and then exhale, reach it back up to the sky. Inhale, left arm by the ear. Exhale, back up to the sky. Inhale, left arm by the ear, looking up at your armpit here, breathing. And then pressing strongly through the feet, come all the way back up. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Left knee points towards the second toe, bending that left knee. Left elbow to the left leg, gently pressing that knee open. And even here, almost pretend like there's a block between your thighs and you're moving that block back, but be careful not to lock the right knee. And then gauging through the core. If you want to, left hand down to the block, right hand up to the sky. Shoulder blades gently moving toward each other on the back. And then inhale, right arm reaches up over by the ear. Exhale, back up toward the ceiling. Inhale, over by the ear. Exhale, back up to the ceiling. Inhale, over by the ear. Breathing here, nice full deep breath, looking up. And then press down through your feet, come all the way up to standing. Turn your feet towards the long end of the mat. You can keep your feet wide apart or move them in if you prefer. Engaging if your feet are nice and wide apart, even if they're close together. Hands into that T position with the hug position. Shoulder blades gently moving towards each other on the back. And then from here, go ahead, move the right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Move the left shoulder forward, the right shoulder back. Move the right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Lift the right shoulder up. And as you move the right shoulder back, slide it down. So adding a little bit of a roll here. As you also hug the right shoulder towards the left and slide it down, and then hug the left shoulder towards the right and slide it down. This movement propels snake arms and belly dance We're not talking about the rest of snake arms today, but just this movement of the shoulder rolling forward and then on the back and sliding down is a propeller for it. And you might notice your spine is moving with this action too. When you're done, go ahead, release, do some shoulder rolls. And then with your knees soft, heel toe the feet in towards each other, shake out the legs. And turn toward the skinny end of the mat with your blocks. Nice Tadasana, hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath moving through you. Exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen, knees bend. Weight in left foot, right foot goes back. Flipping the blocks lower. Left foot goes back. Inhale to a plank pose. Core engaged, shoulders on the back. Lower the knees down, point the toes. With your shoulders on the back, let the elbows bend. Hips start to get heavy, moving a little bit. Core still engaged to protect the low back. And only lower down as much as works for you. But if it does work for you to bring the hips all the way down, ease the hips all the way down. Cobra here. And then exhale, go ahead and come all the way to your belly. Rest your head on the hands, gently rock the hips from side to side. And then from here, we're gonna roll over onto our side. You're gonna take the block the skinny direction. So block has 3 heights: big, medium, skinny. You're going with the skinny and squeezing the block between the upper inner thighs again, just like we did at the beginning of class. Then come back to your belly here. And here it's a little bit harder to root down to the hips, so you do have to be careful of what's going on with your low back. But try to root down to the hips here and bend your knees. Breathe. Nice full deep breaths. Okay, go ahead and release. This gets a little bit tricky, so if you want to leave this out, you can. But if you have a strap, go ahead, grab a strap. Hugging the block, bend your knees. Again, be careful of the low back, so the hips root down to protect the low back, but you're trying to lasso the strap around your ankles here. And then you don't have to make any loops. I already have a loop in. You don't need to worry about that. Just wrapping the hands around the strap. Flex your feet. Your feet might turn out like mine do naturally. I try to kind of point the toes more towards the back of the mat here. Hugging the block and then kicking the feet back, lifting up to the shoulders. Keep hugging the block. If you want to lift the knees up, you can. Breathing here, Dhanurasana. And if you do want to just grab your feet here or just have hands to the sides, you can. Although we're going to do another pose in a minute that you might want the strap for. Breathe. Then exhale, go ahead and come down. Still holding on to the strap, but you can relax a little bit. Okay, so for the next thing, you might want to give yourself more strap. So if you have more strap, just to give yourself a little bit more strap, although you can play with this. Press down through your hips, hugging the block in. What you're gonna try to do is give yourself enough strap that you can move the elbow forward with the shoulder blade on the back. And then second side, same action. So both elbows are forward here. Adjust things. And then here, again, feet maybe flexed, toes turning back, squeezing the block still, and then here, lifting up. Another version of Dhanurasana. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then exhale, go ahead and release. You can put the strap over to the side. You can put the block over to the side. And just as you're ready, I would actually spend some time on the belly because that's a deeper back bend. So spend your time with spine in neutral, moving the hips, eventually coming back into a child's pose. Nice full deep breaths. And then go ahead as you're ready. Ease your way up to sitting with the legs forward out in front of you, knees and toes pointing up to the sky. Hands back behind you. Press down to your legs, lift up to the low back, open to the chest, open to the throat here. Breathe. Keep the low back lifting in and up. Walk your hands forward, maybe grabbing the blocks if your hands feel short. Press down to the block and try to lift the spine out of the hips. So you're keeping the hips most likely on the ground,
Although honestly, using the blocks, sometimes I'll press down into the blocks and lift my hips up just a little bit, let them feel heavy. So I feel that hanging down of the hips to lengthen the spine out and then set them back down. But really just using the blocks to find some space between your low back and your hips to make some space between those vertebrae there. If you need to, feel free to bend your knees, or if your tailbone's really tucking under, feel free to sit on something. You could even sit on a block or sit on a blanket to keep yourself from tucking under. So you're trying to untuck those hips and lengthen the spine. Okay. From here, we're gonna go ahead and make our way all the way down onto our back. So go ahead, make sure the strap is someplace you can grab it easily. Make sure at least one block is someplace you can grab it easily, and come down onto your back. Once you're on the back, you can hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. And then letting go of the knees and draw circles on the ceiling with the knees, massaging out the hips and the low back. And then draw circles on the ceiling with the knees in the other direction. Grabbing the narrow end again, squeeze it between the upper inner thighs, and lower the feet to the ground. Bring your arms along the sides. Press down through your feet. Feel the hips nice and heavy. Low back above the hips lifts up just a little bit, even though the low ribs move down. Shoulder blades nice and heavy. Neck lifts up a little bit. Chin in neutral, back of the head heavy with the arms by the sides. And then hugging this block between your legs. Inhale, stretch your knees forward, let the hips float up. And then exhale and lower back down. Inhale, knees stretch forward, hips float up. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, float up. If it works for you, hold here. Grab the outside edges of your mat. Act like you're gonna pull the mat apart and wiggle or walk the shoulders underneath you more. Still chin in neutral, back of head presses down. And then keep stretching the knees and the hips forward as you stand firmly to the feet. Lift up to the chest and stretch your chest towards the face. Breathing here. Nice, full, deep breaths. A bridge pose. And you might want to play with pulling your feet isometrically towards the head, so act like you're moving your feet towards your head. And then you might want to play with acting like you're kicking your feet towards the front of the mat, isometrically moving the feet in that direction. But the whole time, so the hips and the knees stretch towards the direction of your feet, and your chest stretches towards the direction of your head. And then as you're ready, exhale, lower all the way back down, putting the block over to the side. Bring your hands to the tops of the thighs. Press the tops of the thighs away from you and gently sway the hips from side to side. Come back to center here. Grabbing the strap. This one does have a loop in it, but you do not need a loop. You can just loop the strap, wrap the strap around your foot if you want to. I'm going to use the loop because it's there. Straighten both legs along the ground with the strap around the right foot. Then here, wrap the strap around your right arm until your right arm is fairly straight. Okay. Press down through your hips, press down through that left leg. Keep the left leg rooted and then start to pull the right leg up straight. So only move the right leg as far as it's relatively straight for you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but keeping it relatively. And then maybe walk your hands up higher on the strap, keeping this right arm also relatively straight. Grab wherever works for you. And then this right shoulder right now, mine is off the back. I'm gonna bring the right shoulder onto the back, pressing the right shoulder down into the mat. My left hand, I'm just gonna bring to the left hip as a reminder to root the hips down. So both hips feeling nice and heavy. Breathe. Feel free to stay here, or keeping both hips rooted and heavy on the ground, particularly that left hip. You're gonna open the right leg to the right. Left shoulder also stays down, and the left rib cage moves towards the ground. And then inhale, come back up to center, and pressing the foot out into the strap, slowly lower the right leg down to the ground. Second side, so you can slip the left foot into the strap, the right foot out of the strap. If you need to come up and do that, and more movements, feel free, take the movements you need to do that. And then from here, pressing down to the legs, pressing down through the hips, Again, wrapping the strap around that left arm so the left arm is fairly straight, left shoulder pressing down. And then when you're ready, start to lift that left leg up straight, walking your hands. You then unloop the left hand up the strap. Bring the left arm to a place where it's fairly straight, left shoulder for the moment off the back. I'm gonna pull it on the back. So my left leg is fairly straight, left shoulder on the back, hips pressing down, right thigh moving towards the ground, breathing here. Now, if I had low back issues, I would intentionally bend the right knee, or maybe even not that much. I'd have a little bend in the knee, but even in this position, the hips, I have those rooting down and the heel rooting down. And then from here, I can play with extending that right leg only as much as works for me and my back. So just another option. You can open the left leg to the left, again, trying to keep the right hip and the right shoulder down, and even the right rib cage moving towards the ground. So only letting that left leg go to the left as much as you feel stable through the right side of your body. Breathe. And then inhale the left leg back to center, pulling the leg in center. Feel the breath moving through you. And then pressing the left foot out into the strap and lowering that leg all the way down. You can put the strap over to the side. And just mini Shavasana, just relaxing here for a moment. And then grabbing the block one final time, skinny way, between the upper inner thighs, again, squeezing the block here. Hands can open to a T position if this feels okay for your shoulders, connecting down to the back of the head and the shoulders. If airplane position feels better though for your shoulders, feel free to do airplane. And then cactus is a little bit more intense. So if you want something a little bit more intense, cactus. Pressing down to the back of the head and shoulders, trying to keep those stable. As you exhale the knees over to the right side. Inhale to center. Exhale the knees to the left side. Inhale to center. Exhale right. Inhale center. Exhale left. Inhale center. Exhale right side. Left shoulder roots down. And then if you want to, you can turn your gaze gently over the left shoulder. Breathe. And then inhale, come up to center. Exhale, knees over to the left. Right shoulder relaxes down. And again, maybe turning your gaze over the right shoulder. Nice, full, deep breaths. Inhale up to center. Go ahead, you can put the block over to the side for a moment, hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. From here, you can open the knees wider apart, pull the knees towards your armpits, lengthen the spine, still rocking. And then if you want to, flip the feet up to the sky, holding on to the back of the knees, the lower legs, or your feet. You can even use a strap here and put the strap over the balls of your feet and pull down here. That can feel nice as well. And then go ahead and release. Full body stretch. Stretch the arms up overhead. Legs along the ground. Lengthen your tailbone. And feel free to come into Shavasana here, or I kind of lied, maybe one more thing with the block. Active relaxation pose with the block. So feet nice and wide apart, maybe even wider than apart than your mat. Let the knees fall in, and it can be nice if your feet are really wide apart to put the block between your knees. If your back is really strongly arching here, you might have to let the rib cage settle down a little bit. You don't want to tuck under, but just let the rib cage settle down some. And then for today, maybe right hand to your belly, left hand to your heart. Soften or close the eyes. And just come to your breath. So we did a lot of shoulder work today because I feel like we've been carrying a lot this year. And now is the time to release, to let go anything you're ready to set down. So with every exhale, just imagine yourself placing anything you're ready to place down on the earth. Because the earth is big, it can hold a lot. So just with your exhales, set down whatever you're ready to set down. And do this practice as long as you want to. When you have set down everything you're ready to set down, you're going to open the arms into airplane position and relax here in active relaxation. Or you can straighten the legs and come into Shavasana. And just when you're in that place, when you're ready to, even let go of conscious control of the breath. And set yourself down for a moment. So the earth is so big, it can hold even you. So set yourself down. And just let yourself rest for as long as you desire. I'm going to finish up the video, but you can stay here. When you are ready to come out, not now, but later, you would just slowly let the breath lengthen and deepen, bending the knees in, ease your way to your side, and come up to sitting. But that's for later, not for now. For now, let yourself be held. Thank you for coming. Enjoy your rest. I'll end with an O.